Good morning, Internet, and welcome back. So basically, what we'll be doing today, we'll actually be building a startup agency landing page, right? So this is exactly what we'll be building. I'm going to show you guys, a quick demo of what we'll be building today. And without further ado, let's get started. All right, so this is basically what we have. And if you scroll in, like zoom in a bit, so you should be able to, see this page. And yeah, so you can basically, so going to scroll to the right and let us have a proper view, right? So we basically have the navigation section on the top, right? So when you scroll down, so basically have then the hero section. Okay, we have our vision section. So this is just like a combination of cards, of course. So we just have to create some sort of reusable cards for all of this. And then we have the other section that has to do with like explore section, right? So nothing much, just a little video image on the right and then some text on the left. And then we have the testimonials section. So this is, where we basically have, people giving feedback about the platform. And then we have our team section. As I said earlier, we'll be creating some sort of reusable cards for all of this, so we don't have to, create multiple components for it. So just a single component, we can be able to achieve the result. And lastly, we have our team section. So this our team section basically consists of, I think it's more of not really our team section. It's a newsletter section. I think that is wrong. We just have to maybe update it in our implementation. Right. So and finally we have the little footer section on the bottom, right? And this is exactly what we'll be looking forward to building today. And we're building everything extremely totally from scratch, right? So we'll start off with a very base project, and we'll just go through it one point at a time. All right. So without much talk, we'll go to the actual project itself. So what I've done, I've created a starter branch for this, and what this starter branch does primarily is that it allows us to have a basic boilerplate of the entire application. So what you're going to do, change this branch to starter, and then you want to take your cursor, take it to the little green icon, green button we have here, then click on it, and then you're going to see, make sure that HTTPS is selected, and you want to just copy this URL. So you have it copied, and then we're going to go to our dashboard real quick. So we're going to go in here and desktop. So in desktop in here, I'm going to just right click on it and try to open up my terminal right there. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to just do git clone. You want to paste in the link you just copied. So hit enter on your keyboard, and this is going to clone, this that particular repository, right? So it's actually cloning. I'll give it some time, so it's done. So what you want to do is to basically cd into startup. So this is going to change the directory into that, and ls. So you basically see a list of all the components or the files in our particular repository. So the very next thing we do is to open this up in our VS Code terminal. There are a couple of ways you can do that. You can just do code, then dots in here. It's going to open it up in your VS Code terminal, or you can just do it manually. Okay, so we basically have this now, and so we're good to go. And we can see from the boilerplate, we just have the app, right? So since we're using Next 14, we just have some some basic setup. So we have the layout, I think. So the layout, I've already set up the font. This is the font we'll be using, right? So this is the font that the application is built off of. So we'll be using this font. And so you can see that we have lots of red lines, right? This is because we've just installed our packages. So this is what we'll do in a bit. And so now what we're going to do is to make sure that our branch is basically, is on main. And so basically have our font set up here, right? And then this is where we're passing it to the body element, right? So basically have a couple of things here, and let's see, right? And we should be good. So what the very next thing we're going to run is to run dev. So npm run dev. This is going to run the the development server, and yeah. So after that, we're just going to proceed, and we can go from there. So you can click on the link you have. So this is going to load up, right? So when it's done, we should be able to have a basic setup. Okay, so it's taking some time, and let's check the server. So it's just trying to compile, so it's still compiling, right? So we just wait a bit for it to successfully compile, and we should be good to go. Okay, so good. So now, when it's actually done compiling, you're going to see this initial startup page. So nothing much, nothing too crazy, right? It's just like a text with the initial Next.js boilerplate. All right. So now there we go. So as I always do in every of the projects we work on, we normally start off by building up the we start off by building up the actual color scheme, right? So we then try to export our assets and do all those stuff, right? So now we can actually come here, look through the application. The only thing that stands out from here is that we have an actual brand color, and that color is this particular color right here, right? This is actually our actual brand color. You can see that it's used mostly, even in the logo and the sign up, is used visually everywhere. So this is definitely the brand color, right? So we can actually assign that as our primary color. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to tailwind.config.css, and we're going to do some setup here. So right, so we basically have this under the extend block. So you want to create a new. So what I'm going to do for you guys to see it properly, I'm going to zoom in, right? So, oh no, that's too much. So I think you guys can see like this. I think. Okay, so this is good, not bad. I just hope it's not too much for you guys. Yeah, so what about this? So honestly, I think this is decent. So yeah, so what we can do, we can come in here and set up our colors. Set our colors, and then you want to say, oh, primary color. Right, so we're going to pick this guy from here. So we have any of the shape highlighted, and then you can just copy the color from your Figma, and you're going to paste it right in here. Right, so we already have a primary color, that's good. And yeah, so this is the kind of black color we use. So it's actually like dark bluish, so it's completely fine. So you can just copy that, and we can just call this a dark blue, right? So you guys might have noticed that in this particular project, there does seem to be an actual secondary color, so that's fine, right? So you just ignore it. So one thing that is actually consistent is that every project normally has, a primary color, and this is this like orange-like color we are having right there. So yeah, so we basically have a color like this dark blue. We already have that registered. And what the color do we have? We have this one. So this one is basically a black color, like text black should do it for us, so we don't have to put that there. It's already built in on Tailwind. So we have another one which is black as well. We have this gray color, so which is okay. So can I just, grab that, and then yeah, we could just call it custom gray. So custom gray. So that will be our custom gray color, right? So let's check this out. So this is the same like black color, so you don't have to worry too much about it, right? So what about this? The same black color, right? Okay, so that's good. And yeah, we have another color. This is more bluish. Okay, so we could just call this light blue. Okay, so paste it there. So I lost track of the actual element. So I can just copy it again and put it right there. So that's okay. So the here is actually the gray. It's having some sort of RGB here. Very difficult to see though, but it's fine. So it's giving us some sort of like RGB. You can just copy right here. Copy from here to the end, I think. Yeah, so copy that. And what you want to do, I normally use, can just do RGBA to X. right? And use the first result you see basically. So what we're going to do is to paste in our RGB here, and then there's the X value. So I like to put all the all the colors in X form, so we are consistent across board. So this is actually a grayish, custom gray light, custom light gray. Okay, that's okay for us. And yeah, the same thing. We are using the same color here, basically the same light blue color. And then we already have this as well. And this is definitely a different form of black. I don't know. We do already have this OB1 from here, right? Let's see if we already have it within the code, right? So OB1 is already here. It's a dark blue. OB1 ending in 35. So that's really fine. And there we go again. Let's try this out. Still the same OB1. That's okay. So we have literally all the colors, I think, and one EO right here, hash 1 EO. So let's check that out if we already have that. 1 EO is the light blue, so we already have it. So it's a very much more of a very consistent design compared to the last one we worked on. I see that all the colors are basically like reused, which is a good thing for developers. They just want to know, how often a particular color is used. Okay, so let's check this out. Black. What about this? Black as well. Nothing much. What about this? Yeah, that's definitely our primary color. That's completely fine. 1 EO. Yeah, good. So basically, I have all the colors set up now, and that's good for us, right? So we have these are all our colors. We don't really have dark mode or anything, so this is, very consistent now. So the next thing is we need to start worrying about is the assets, right? So first off, we want to export most of the assets used within here, and that will be good for us. And in this tutorial, I don't normally use some sort of icon library, right? So we just export what we see on the actual design. So what I normally do for more flexibility is that I try as much as possible to, make a duplicate of the actual file, right? So making a duplicate of the actual file will allow me to have a copy version of that design. So this copy version gives me enough privilege to be able to move stuff around, group things, group layers, and be able to achieve much more dynamic result. So I'll show you guys in a bit. It's completely very easy. And click on this landing page. It's going to bring this up. So now the first thing that we're interested in is the actual logo on the navigation, right? So you can actually have that selected, and you can see the export section on the right pane on your Figma. So you want to click on this little plus icon, click on this preview, and then you're actually seeing the actual logo. So you want to export that. So one thing I do that is always very consistent in my work is I try to always rename it. So you want to rename this to something really unique, right? So I'm going to rename this real quick. So I call this logo Epic. So I think it's the name of the platform is Epic Lab logo, right? So let's have that. The PNG. All right, good. We have the logo now. So now I want to focus on this guy. There's a lot kind of going on here. So you want to click on it and see what the initial preview is. You can see that we have an initial preview, but the problem with this preview is that it doesn't really have some of the other added layers to it. So we want to make sure we select everything, right? So we select everything. This little box, this little box as well, right? So this is the background data. So let's select that, and then there's this little arrow here, I think. So let's see. Let's do Ctrl G to group them. Okay, so I'm actually in the development mode. So you want to unswitch this, right? Design mode. So now that we're in the design mode, I want to select everything required right here. So I'm just going to click on here, select this, do Ctrl G, and then go to the export layer as well. Let's see what's going on there. So you can see from the export layer, we basically have those two things that I selected there, but then we are missing this little bulb icon and then this arrow icon as well. So we want to make sure that we have everything basically selected. So there we go. So let's see how well we can grab that, try to select on it. So sometimes it might be really stubborn, and for you to know, where the actual stuff is, what I normally do is that I try to, actually select it. So you can see that it's becoming distorted. Anytime you run into that issue, you just want to do Ctrl Z to undo, and just make sure you are right clicking. So right click on it so well that you should be able to, have access to, the actual stuff going on there. So I'm going to right click on here. So right click on that as well. Right click here, the arrow. Yeah, so the arrow is like hidden right below the actual guy, and that is an issue for me. So let's try it out. Right, and okay, good. So now I think the easiest approach, is always go through the layer, and when you go through the layer, you have, when you just play through it, like scroll down, you have all of these items selected. So you can see this group now, we need it. Okay, this group as well, we need it. So you can just hold shift on your icon on your keyboard, and then being able to right click on each of them. So right click on that, or hold control, doesn't really matter. And then we are missing the arrow, we still need the arrow. So we have the arrow there. So click control and right click on it. And then what else are we missing? Then we have the light bulb. You can see that whenever I hover this frame, the light bulb gets selected. So you can right click on that as well. So, you can see from this basic overview, we have everything basically selected, and except the guy, I think. So this is the image controlling the guy, or the group as well. So we'll focus on the image, just hit control, right click on it. That's going to select it as well. So now that we have everything selected, you can just go to your export paths, and don't forget to group them, right? So you can do Ctrl G to group everything you have. Go to the export section. And then, you can see a lot coming in. You can see the little bulb icon. Then you can see the little arrow on the right. So it's very small. You guys might not really see it. So I'm going to export it. And come in here and just rename it real quick. So call this joy guy or happy guy. Okay. So let's view it. Make sure that everything is coming out the way it's expected. Okay, good for us. So basically have the bulb icon, we have all the little cards, and then we have the arrow close to the guy's head. Good. So this is something that is extremely important we take note of. And so that means we basically have everything, taken care of. Okay, so some of the things that we want to export is what we have here. So you can just export both together. Click Ctrl G to group it, and then go to your export and export this. So come in here, click on it, and we just want to, rename this to fancy play, I think. So fancy play, good. It's definitely an icon. So what I suggest is when you're dealing with icons, always add icon at the end of it, so you are able to know that shape is definitely an icon. Good enough. All right, so what else do we have? So we have this little icon here, and click on this little export icon and export. So we're going to call this, it's more of a zip file, so we'll just unzip it. So right click on there. Okay, so let's see why it's actually asking us to. So whenever we, export group is definitely a group. So let's have it selected again. Click on export, and export activity. So we're using the group, so we just we'll unzip it. So we'll unzip it, and it's going to be way inside of it. So this is the icon, activity icon. So let's rename it properly. So activity icon. So we're going to cut it away from here and just put it in a normal download so we can track it better. Okay, so let's go over to the second one. This is a little camera icon. Okay, so we export it. So why it's actually in zip format is because the developer might have used some sort of Iconify or some other plugins in the Figma design. that basically just kind of, put it in the Next.js folder. That way, that's why you basically have it in zip format. So once we extract that real quick, and yeah, yes, basically I have to do yes or. So we have it here, only bold video. So we're just going to call this the video icon. It's fine. All right, so we're going to call that, and we're going to take that to the actual directory. Don't worry, it's a little bit scattered, but we'll group them all together at once. Right, so we basically have that, and then we have this little chart icon. So we export that as well, do similar stuff. And yeah, we unzip it. So it's a zip file. We unzip it. Okay, so we already have this, and go in there again, and yeah, I'm going to rename this to chart icon. So I click on it and rename, right? Rename. So there's a chart icon, you cut it out and take it to downloads. Okay, good for us. So basically have all those icons now. And the other thing we need to worry about is this image on the right. So you can just right click on it, click on export. So we have it. So it's coming out well as expected. So this is a video player. So we could just rename it to video player. All right, good enough. We're already in downloads. So scroll down. We have a couple of other things. I think majority of the things we have here are images of an actual individual, right? So we can zoom in. So right click on it. Make sure it's actually highlighted, right? So you want to switch this to what's it called? To dev mode, right? Have it switch to dev mode, and then click on this little the name of the file you see on this rectangular shape, right? So you want to click on there, and it's going to open up the actual image, using design. So you want to save that, and so let's see. You need to give it a very consistent name. So we're going to go back real quick, and let's call this Ryan. So we're going to give it the exact name we have here. So this is Ryan, I think, not Ryan. So we're going to copy that and right click on there, save as image, and paste it right here, right? So it needs to be in lowercase. So Ryan, and then save it. Good for us. So come in here, have it selected as well. Click on the name on the right pane. Going to open up the image. So right click on it, save image as. What's the name, please? I didn't quite get a name. Her name is Kelly. So you're going to copy that. So right click, save as image. So Kelly, K on the capital lowercase, and then save that. So we have Ryan, we have Kelly, right? So we need Jean, right? Jeannie. Don't know how that is pronounced. So click on the name on the right pane, and then want to save this real quick. And yeah, so her name is definitely Jean or Jeannie, right? And then so we have the last guy here, Alan. Okay. All right. So click on here, and you want to click on here real quick. Okay. So you could just copy everything, Alan. So save that. Okay. So good for us. We have all the names of the characters, and then we'll move on to our team section. We have quite lots of assets here. So you right click on the image, you click on the stuff you see on the right pane. So right click on here, save as image, and yeah, I always forget their names, right? So this is Vanessa. So I'm gonna just grab her first name, this part. Right, so right click, save as image, paste in there. So we don't care about the last name, just the first name is fine. So Vanessa, so save that. Right, so we need Mason. So click on here. So right click, save as image, and Mason. Okay, the same thing for Irie. Right, so you click on here, save as image. So Irie. So you save that. Okay, so we have everything we want. And then the other thing we need to worry about are the social media icons. So we can just have them, actually selected, and we can go with the export, right? So it seems to be, there's lots of padding to the bottom, I think. Let's scroll this here. Let's make sure that we are doing it right. Oh, okay, it's more of like an emoji. Yeah, they basically use some sort of weird emoji. So it's fine. It's fine. We can just grab those. Right. So let me see if there's a way I can make it like reduce the actual, font. But it's really fine. So we can just undo that. So have it selected. Go to your preview and export it out. Click on export. Okay. So this was actually formerly Twitter. So now it's actually called X. Right. So just call it new or the X icon. Okay. So we have the X icon. Let's go over to Facebook. You click on here, export, come in here. Let's try to rename it. Yeah, so we could just do Facebook icon. Good for us. And then this dribble icon, dribble. So click on export and export it. So we're going to come in here and just rename this to dribble. Dribble icon. So that's good. So basically have all our social media icons. And yeah, so we're almost coming to the end of the actual, part. And that's a good thing. So one thing missing is this actual part here. So I'm going to undo that. So let's see. So this is the actual shape. So let's click on export. Preview, so you can see that it's coming out well. Clearly the shadow right at the bottom, which is a good thing. So you can just export this, and yeah, so we're going to call this newsletter. This is a very large icon. Newsletter large icon. Good. All right. So finally we have this little footer logo, so we can export it as well. So click on the export and export logo. So we can call this a footer logo. Okay, so now we want to organize all our files. So we want to do date modified, change that to today, right? So we basically have a much more clarity. The type can just be, it's a combination of PNG and JPG, right? So you can just have that combination. So now we have access to all the assets we need to basically run our application, right? So this is a good thing. And then I'm going to close out everything real quick to the right. And this is our application, good. And what we want to do is to make sure that everything here is placed under the images. So I'll create a new folder and call that images. And then we want to drag everything we've downloaded into here, right? So you want to have just a Control A on your keyboard and drag it to the images folder. Okay, so that's going to populate. So since it's done here, I can remove everything from download. I'm gonna find this item. I think it's already moved, so I definitely moved everything. So that's fine. Okay, so now we have all the things we need, all the shapes, all the icons, and I'm going to clear out the terminal real quick. And yes, we're done. What we have to do is to basically, start worrying about the actual page layout, and we'll go from there. So let's make sure that our server is still up and running. Right. So what do we have here? DAC is not defined. Reference error. DAC is not defined. Not sure where you're seeing DAC, but let's check it out. It's okay. And let's make sure that our saving configuration is fine. Okay, so that is okay as well. So dark, blue, light. So everything is well placed. So let's try to restart our server. Let's clear things out and do npm run dev. Okay, so we want to go in here. Want to refresh this. So it's going to compile. So wait for it to compile real quick. And when it's done, should be good to go. Okay, this is good. So basically have everything well set up and good. So once we go to our page directory, right? So what we want to do real quick is we don't need lots of the things going on here. We want to remove the entire thing. So yeah, we want to create a main directory, and now we have to worry about different sections we have, right? So we want to undo, put this back to dev mode, and then yeah, so basically have the different sections. So the first one we have here is the navigation, right? So you want to come in here, and if you've already pulled, you've already created your branch from the starter branch, you should be able to see that under components there's a common folder. Under common folder there's a navbar, right? So this navbar is what we'll be using, for this particular project, right? So that's very straightforward. And yeah, so go back here and come here and say navbar. So make sure that it's actually imported, right? So the other one has to do with the hero section. So what I'm going to do, when you come in here, go to source, go to component. Under component, you want to create a new folder called sections, right? So here I want to create the first one. It's going to be called the hero section CSS. So React functional component export, right? So we have the hero section. So scroll down. This is the service section. So come in here, create a new file, and call it the service section.csx. So we have functional export, component export, good. So we have the service section. So what about this? Oh, there's no name for this section, so basically I have to give it a name. Video player section. Okay, so we have that as well. And what else do we have? We have the testimonials sections. All right, so yeah, good. So we have the testimonial section. The other section is the team section. And then we have the newsletter section. Okay, so we have the same section, and yeah, finally we have the newsletter section. So I can just call it the newsletter section CSS. Okay, so this yeah, and finally we have the footer section. Let's not forget that. Okay. All right. So basically, I have all of this, and now we want to make sure that everything is well arranged. Right. So what we're going to do is to go to the pages file. So let's pin this. I'll be using it more often. Right. So we have the navbar. So we have the hero section. Right, so we have the service section. Then we have the video player section. Okay, so what else do we have? But not the service worker. So sorry about that. This is the service section. Okay, so we have the video player section. We have the testimonials section. Okay, so we have the our team section. think we'll name it the team section. Okay, so we have the newsletter section. Okay, and finally we have the footer section. Okay, all right. So we'll go to your app, and we can see that we have a couple of things here, which is okay, not bad at all. And yeah, there we go. We have all the sections right here. We have the navigation already previewed, and we can start working on the actual implementation, right? So first of all, we need to figure out how to position our navigation, right? So this should be, we'll actually make it responsive for the mobile version as well, right? So yeah, so we'll go right in there. Come in here, go to navbar, and the images, we have to target our actual image, right? So go to public images. So our image here is actually called the Epixel Lab logo. Logo is actually a PNG thing, right? So let's check that out if it's coming well. Okay, it's not coming out well. So I might be missing the names. So it's definitely images, not SVG. So images / Epixel Lab .png, I think. Images .epixel lab logo .png. Okay. Now, honestly, I think that is it. Epixel Lab _ logo. Yeah. So let's refresh this. For some weird reason, it still complains that it's not sent it. Okay, so images, Epixel Lab logo .png. Am I missing anything here? Not quite. Okay, so let's scroll down. So images, Epixel Lab logo. For some weird reason, it's not really like populating. Right, so let's make sure that we're in the right place. Let's put a random stuff here. Here that is printed. Oh, we're in the right place. Okay, so images, let's do Alan. PNG. Okay, is it like most of the images does not really come out well? So that is very strange. Right, so I'm going to check this out real quick. Okay, so Alan is really working. I forgot to basically, use the actual dimension, which is JPG, not PNG for Alan. So Alan is coming up well, which is okay. So now I want to focus on why this Epixel Lab is not coming in well. Probably some sort of typo. So I'm just going to be on the safer side, I'm going to just copy the file name, copy that, and paste it right here. So it's definitely a it's actually a PNG file. So here's the PNG right there. Okay, so it's coming right through. Definitely a typo that I didn't spot earlier. So good enough. So we want to make sure that all of these links are well placed. We have the home, we have the about us, we have our app, we have the contacts, and so on. Right? So we're going to just grab all of those and call it home. So we're going to add more links here. I'll remove this and then go to grab it and just add more of these links. So about us, we have our app, so you can copy that. And I think finally we have the contacts. Okay, so and at the end we basically have a combination of login and then the sign up button. So basically put this in there. So this is actual login, and then it's actually called sign up. So this is definitely a button. So we worry about that real quick. Yes. So we're going to use this button. So we'll actually have to conform the initial button we have to basically meet our design it. So what we're going to do is to already have a very usable button, right? So you could check your source components, common, main button, right? So you see this is actually the main button we're using, right? So what you want to do is to grab this, go to your main, remove that, and use main button. So main button actually has a required prop, and first of all, let's import it. So now it's imported. So we have the text. Text it must always be specified for every button. So the text name here is actually, I think, sign up. So we're going to look at that real quick. Yeah, you can see it's coming out well, but then the width is way too much. So once I highlight this now, and let's get the actual width of this particular button. So one thing I've always explained in previous tutorials is that whenever you have your button highlighted, make sure you have your inspect settings basically set to rem in your Figma design, right? So we don't want to be using pixels every now and then, but rem, actually accounts for responsiveness and other cool stuffs, right? So we can see that the width of this actual button is 7 rem. So we can use that as our default width, right? So you can copy that, and we'll go into the main button we've already created, main button right here, and we have the full width for buttons, right? The width, so this is definitely the width we'll be using for our button as our default width, and this should be our default height as well. So you can copy that. So you can come in here. This is like a reusable button. I've used it in numerous projects, so it's always good to have it handy, so you don't have to basically create it from scratch. This is like the same thing across in most projects as well. So if it's a normal button, so we're going to give it this height. So let's go back. Good. So when you come in here, you can see that our button is actually coming out, perfectly well. So I noticed that there's no like minor shadow or no shadow at all. No shadow. So we can actually remove the shadow from our part. So our button normally have shadows. So if you don't want a shadow to be included in your button, you can just add a class field, classes, and do shadow no. So that should definitely just set the shadow. Consider the shadow is off. Okay, good. So with just a very minor tab, we'll be able to achieve the actual first part of the application. And so this is about us. This is our art section, right? This is the home and so on, right? So one thing that the designer obviously they don't account for is the mobile view. So we'll actually be accounting for that. So on a much more smaller screen, so we're supposed to see something that looks like this, which is okay, not bad. So but then we have to change the logo and put some sort of what do we call it, hamburger right here. So in order to put our logo, so we could just reuse the initial logo we already have. So we can grab the entire source here. We go in here and we paste it in here. So the width can be smaller. It doesn't have to be limited to that. So it can be 7 width or whatever you want, right? So in order for us to always get the hamburger, I always recommend you use this site. There are lots of things you can check, but this site is just a very great way to get icons basically. Okay, so let's say hamburger. So hamburger, I think arrow. Okay, hamburger is not coming up. So we just want a way, anything that is stack, we can use to get any stack element that we can really find. So let's maybe search for stack. Okay, any fancy stuff basically, is fine. Yeah, so if we're not able to see any fancy one, we can just do a global Google search basically. Okay, look at one fancy fast line. This is okay. We can use that. So we can just be creative and use any custom. So, oh, this hamburger is here. So we can definitely use this now. Probably at least spell it correctly. So click on the SVG part. It is going to, just grab the actual SVG for you. So what we want to do is to go in here, go to public, go to images, or you can just create your own folder. Right? This is an SVG. You can create a new folder, call it SVGs, and you want to put the hamburger there. So create a new hamburger.svg. They want to paste it in. So now we'll just have to link this to our actual application, right? So yeah, there we go. Okay, so let me remove this part. Oh, we're actually using the Lucid package, for it. So we are getting X from Lucid right? So, but then we still need to place in the actual, what's it called? The actual hamburger we just got in. So we have SVGs and hamburger.svg. Okay, so go back to code, we minimize it, and it's not coming up well. So let's refresh. Oh, we can see that it's coming in. So when you click on this, you should be able to, all right, so we have a much more proper setup, right? Good. So one other thing we need to worry about is the actual links. So you click on here, all these links, they need to reflect what we have in the actual navigation. So it's very easy. What you have to do is to copy everything here. Sorry about that. So copy everything from here. And we're going to paste it right in here. Right? So we're going to just paste it in there. Right, so you can see that everything is coming. When you override, we tend to have the primary color. Okay, very good. So, and then the only thing not working properly is this last part. So we can just grab it and we can put it right here, I think. So click on here and see we have the login, and then we have the let's use sign up button, which is okay. So the mobile, you get to see this view, which is completely fine. While in the desktop, they get to see a much more elaborate view for our navigation. Okay, good. So we're done with that, and then we want to quickly move on to the hero section. Okay, so this is where we're about to get our ends dirty. All right, so we can just close it out and go to hero section, and it's very easy. There's no layout. You cannot build with flex or grid, right? So no layout is too complicated. That is not achievable. So no matter how it's designed, you can achieve it. So what we're going to do here, this is the section. You can just rename this to this section. And I'm just going to create the two divs we need. So this is the first div, and this definitely is the second div, right? So the first div basically, contains a couple of things, a couple of paragraphs, and then a button. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do the P, right? So we're going to grab this guy and paste it inside. And I'm going to do another P tag. I'm going to grab everything here, I think. This is what I mean. Don't be acting stubborn. So I'm going to copy it and paste it right in here. So it has a after comment. For some weird reason, the font they use here seems to be different from the font they'll be using everywhere else. So that's some sort of consistent thing. Okay, so we have the in as a after comment. Okay, so that's okay. And then the other thing we have is basically a div. So this div has the actual, get started kind of button, right? And then it has a compilation of other things. So we have a div. We can put the image right there. So we're just going to copy that. Go to navbar. We use the button there. So we can just grab this one. Go in here and paste it right in here. So don't forget, always import it. And put the actual text there. So the actual text is like get started. Get started. So, and then we basically have the other part, This has to do with the combination of the icon and then the text. So what we're going to do is we need our image to be there. So we'll do our image, specify our source, slash images, slash play. Yeah, so I need to get the actual name we used. So that has to be, I think, the play icon or something. So video icon, I think is this one. No, not that one. Video player or the player icon, I think. Okay. Oh, fancy play icon. Okay, this is the way we named it. So we can just, grab the exact name there, copy that, click on name, get the name. We don't rename anything. We just want to grab the actual name. .png, and don't forget your auth is always important. Always include it in your implementation, just in case we know the browser is unable to load the icons. This is actually a fallback test, to render to the GUI, to the UI. Okay, so let's make sure that that's coming up. That's okay, and yeah, we need to put our learn more right there. Okay, so come in here when we're done. We'll put our learn more. So this is completely fine. So what I will do is to come in here, which I will give this flags and a little gap. It's completely fine. And yeah, so here the font here has to be bold, right? So we don't have to worry too much. It's black by default. And the other thing we need to worry about is, styling the actual stuff here. So what we're going to do here is, so the font width here is actually 850. 850. So we can, when you alight on it, you can see that we have 850 as the font width. So the font size is 4.375 rem. So you want to do text 4.375 rem, but this is going to be for for medium devices upwards. So for smaller devices, we can just do text Excel. Let's see that. No, it's too small. Or you can do to Excel. Let's check that out. Okay, not bad. So you could use to Excel. And yeah, so the font, the styling is actually, you can copy this. Just do a global search on your code. So first of all, we need to close out some of the things we don't need. Have this pin. So do the search. So you can see that we're using dark blue now. But Tailwind configuration. You can come in here and just do test dark blue. So that should give us the appropriate stuff we need. And the same thing applies for the text here. So the text here is already this. So you can just grab that. Okay, come in here. Text, paste the data, text height. So the font is going to be 500. Okay, so let's see how it is so far. So refresh this and you can see we have a much more consistent flow, right? So the only difference here that we might be adding is that we might be adding some sort of breakpoints here and there, right? So, but that will come up when we already have this image on the right. So let's add the image on the right real quick. So we're going to add that. So you're going to come here, do your image, specify your source. Then the auth is actually, so I see, so guy with phone, I think. With phone and other actions, I think. Other action icons or surrounded by action icons. Okay, so this is something we can do. Make sure you close the image tag. And yeah, so come in here, do /images / I think we call this guy happy guy. No, not sure, but we're going to go through here. And yeah, we definitely call it happy guy. You can see it right here. So you can do happy guy.png. So this is going to bring in our guy. So you can see our guy is looking great. So what we're going to do real quick is going to do the alignment. So you can come in here, set the flex, and just justify between. So that's going to give a space between the left and the right, and make sure that everything is well positioned, I think. So position at the 10 center, item center. Okay, right, very good. So the other thing important is that don't forget to always set your line height. So for large screen devices, the line height here is very much, so it's like this. So let's see if it's reused. It's not really reused, so it's here. So we can copy this, copy that, and go to the text, right? So you can say medium, leading, and just paste it in there. So this is going to give us a proper line height, which is okay. And yeah, so on small screens, you should be able to have a much more consistent flow. So what we're going to do on a small screen, we're going to come in here, flex column, medium screen, make it row, right? So don't forget to give it some gap of 4-ish gap is okay. And yeah, so this is something that we will be doing. And you can come in here to the page. Let's fix some issues we're having with the spacing, right? So we need to give it some spacing downwards. So you can grab this on the div and grab everything here and paste it right in here. And what we want to do, sorry about that, come in here, give it a class name. So my top can be 8, right? Or 16, depends on how you want it. Or 32. Okay, so on a normal device, let's make sure that it's very consistent. Shouldn't be far off. Yeah, so on a small device, it can be this way. But on an actual device, you can just do MT8. So yeah, so the edge is not far off. We are still in sync. Okay, so there's always some gap of space between both sides, which is like 8 rem, right? So what we're going to do is that we can't really go to the navbar. There's some sort of space in there. We can remove that. So MX41, we can just take that off. Not really a thing. So this is going to stretch our navbar to the end, so that we can basically come in here and remove the link here. It's definitely an unused import, so you can just remove that. So we'll come in here, and what we want to do is to basically give it some sort of spacing. So MX 9 rem, right? XM 9 rem. So let's try that out. So this is actually only in what do they call it? in large screen. So what I wanted to do is not MX but PX, some sort of padding. So let's try that out. Okay, all right. So this padding is great, but it's not really the way we want it to be. So we can say medium can basically have this padding left and right, and then for smaller screens, we can just do PX4. That should be decent enough, right? So the problem with this now is that it tries to shift everything. So we can grab this and just make sure we're using it in this container and not everywhere else, right? So this one gives us a much more proper view of what is to be expected, right? So we can do this by doing 24 is thin. Okay, that's pretty decent. Okay, good. Desktop, we're good, right? So the other thing here is that on a desktop device, we want to give the navigation the same PX, right? So, but in that case, it's going to be an MX. So I'm going to copy this real quick and go to navigation. Let me undo. Okay, so that was actually in the, in line 18. So go in here. So we'll just do our little MX, right? So this one basically allows us to, to have it on the same horizontal plane, right? So everything is well aligned, both left and right, which is a good thing. And we have a much more consistent flow. So let's check this on screen. It's coming out well, right? So we just want to fix the issue here between the buttons. So let's fix that real quick. So you can see that the buttons are actually horizontally aligned. So we can fix that. So go to the hero section. So we have the main button in here. So we just want to do class flex gap 4, right? So we want to make sure that the items is actually centered. So item centered. So the gap between here and here is like 1.75 rem. So we already have some gaps. So we just have to, eyeball it into the appropriate gapping. So we could just do 4 here. We already have 4, okay? Yeah, so I think that's the 4 we already have. So let's see, 1.75 rem. Okay, we'll place it right there, 1.75 rem. Okay, good. So the learn more, I only have the font size of this. Yeah, I think that is like a normal font size, Let me be sure. 1 point, so we can actually put this in our TS config, so it's relatively usable. We don't have to be specifying it every time. So come in here, beneath your colors, come to font size, and we can just say normal. You paste it in there. So in here, what you can do is you go to your hero page, and just do text. You can see that this text number is coming, or when you override, you can see is the one you've basically set. Okay, so we want to make sure that this is aligned vertically. Okay, so we have the line mode, we have the gap, and we just want to put items center in there. Okay, so the gap between here and here does not really, it's much. It's 1.56. So so come in here and specify the gap 1.56, right? Okay, good. So now one other thing we want to worry about is the spacing between here and the top right here. So might not be good because the way it was designed is wrong, but it's fine. So we can just do 4 rem or 3 rem-ish kind of gap. So what we're going to do is to go in here and margin top. Let's do 3.2 rem first. Okay, that's pretty decent to me. Not too much. Alright, so 3 rem might be okay. Alright. So we have a proper view of this, and this is how our hero section is turning out to be. Right, and go to page, and let me just remove this from here. Make sure we have a consistent flow. Right, so this is what we have now, and it's looking real good. So let's check it on a smaller device. You can see that we are having a much more finer, screen, right? So everything is working as expected. Good, great. Okay, so this button looks a little bit, longer. Maybe the text is different, right? So probably we have to adjust the text in each of the button. So just put text number and then we fix it. So that can actually be done within the main button component. And so let's go to the actual text. Okay, so this is the text, I mean the actual text of the button. So we'll close that out. the actual text of the button. Text. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is the text. Right, I see. So we have to basically like set it right here, I think. Yeah, so that would be the actual text color, of our buttons. Yeah, so you could just add it to the classes, text white and text normal. So text white, rounded. Okay, so let me undo. I did some. Okay, that's okay. So I can come here. This basically has our text. This button, yeah, this one. So we can definitely come in here and just make sure that we are using text normal. Text normal. Right. So yeah, that should do it for us. Not sure if we're using any other text, whatever. But that alone, that specification alone should be able to, update the button for us. Okay, so text number is 1.125 in width. Right, so text white is still text white. Yeah, so not sure why it changed the color to black instead of white. Okay, so let me debug this real quick. Okay, so let's put it here maybe. Alright, not text this, but text normal. Okay, so that's okay. So we've basically like achieved what I wanted right here. So the width of this button here is obviously 10.125 rand. So this, now you can go to your Euro section and make sure your button is basically using that width. Okay, good. All right. So this is it. And on the mobile, we still have a very much consistent flow. Okay, so we're done with that particular screen. So the other screen we need to worry about is our services screen, right? This is a very, very simple screen. So we have to, dive right in and then go through it one after the other. So we have to create some sort of reusable component. I can see that it's very reused. The service, the title, and the stuff. So the same thing. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a reusable header component for this. And I'm going to go to common and create a new component. I'm going to call it header. CSS. We have function component export. So we have the header there. And what do we have? We just have a couple of things, right? 2 paragraphs. So duplicate that. And yeah. So what we're actually taking the title. At the same time, we're taking the subtitle. So we can basically have the interface hyperps. So the title is going to be a string. The above required, and the subtitle is going to be another string, right? So we'll paste in the title here, and the same thing with the actual subtitle as well. So copy that and we paste it right in here, right? So we can just call it flex and give it a gap of 2. So it's actually flex colon, right? So we can call this. So this one is basically taking a color. This is like a normal custom gray, I think. Let's be sure. Yeah, it's a custom gray color. So you can say text custom gray. Okay, so the font weight is 700. The font size is this. I can just grab that real quick. So font size is basically like you say text. So the weight is fonts. You specify the weight and they said it's 700. right? So we actually have to copy this and paste it here for the subtitle. So this one basically have our OB1. I think this is the dark blue. Okay, so that's dark blue. So we have the dark blue. We have the font size is this. So we can just play with this as well. So this for medium devices. For normal like small screen devices, we can just do text to Excel. Yeah, around a kind of Remish value. And then yeah, we should be good to go. So this should basically serve as our, text center to center the item. So you can just do text center, for both paragraphs. So these are either, so we can actually reuse this within the our service component. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to close everything out, close out the hero section, go to our services section. So in here, this is actually a section, and I will start it with a section. And there we go. So we have a div. So this div basically has the header, right? So there's no point specifying a div, you can just put it on top of it. So we have to import it. So the title here is basically, we can give it our own title, and this is service. So we can just say service, doesn't matter. And then this is the text. Right, so that's the description for us. Description. Oh, subtitle, we use the word subtitle. So paste that in. And now let's see what we have. Oh, not bad at all. The only problem we might be having in that approach is that we have to convert this to, uppercase. So go to the header and just put in uppercase in there. And in here, we want to be able to give some sort of margin right to the top. So empty or your gap. So your gap should be 1 point. Sorry about that. Let's check it again. 1.19 rem. Okay, so go back, and then you can see that we have a very good flow. So one thing, you can see the spacing on service is not quite the same with the spacing here, right? So I'm going to do that. Sorry about that. With the spacing here. So this is like letter spacing, right? So we want to like copy this. So this letter spacing has to be spaced correctly. So come in here and on this spacing, let's first letter. So let's say spacing. So spacing, we have lots of border spacing. So space X. All right, so let's try space X. Not sure I've used this before, but let's try it out. So paste it there. So what do we have? Going to grab it. Paste it right here. So let's see. Not quite really. So what I want to search real quick is letter spacing Tailwind. So yeah, this should be in the official Tailwind documentation. It's very easy to get. Oh, tracking, right. So you could just use this tracking, doesn't really matter. So copy that, come in here, and yeah, there we go. Just paste it right in here. So basically have tracking and remove one of those. Okay, good. You can see that this is well tracked. So we've increased the tracking. And yeah, there we go. Basically have a reusable component for our title. Right, so if we're working on subsequent sections, it will be easier for us to, basically see those things. So now let's worry about the cards, right? So we basically have the same text, right? But then we have, some sort of shadow going on here and there. And yeah, let's build it up. So open up your code terminal, close everything you're not using, except the service section, I think. So pin this in there. And then, yeah, one thing we want to worry about here is the actual card, right? So under your components, create a new folder called cards. Component, create a new folder. So we're going to call these the cards. So what we're going to call this service card. So we're going to call this service card. So these are service card without functional component export. So this is our service card, right? So this service card is going to be taking a couple of things, right? So we can actually start by actually defining our interface. Right? So now it needs to take in the icon URL. That is a string. It needs to take in the title, the string as well, and also it needs to take in the description. Okay, so we're taking in the icon title, we're taking in the icon URL, sorry, we're taking in the title, and then we're taking in the description, right? So if, for example, you want to pass in some sort of action, which I'm not doing now, just in case they click on the learn more button, so you can actually add a new field to it, an action, and it's going to be return void. So this basically means that it's going to not return anything. Probably you're routing to a different page or something. So it's going to be a function that returns nothing. Right? So now we basically have our hyperp set, and we're going to define everything right within here. So this is actually optional. So I'll make it optional in this case. So I'll put the icon URL right there. We'll put in the title. We'll put in the description. And then we'll put in the action. Okay. All right. So this is a card, and what we're going to do is to create a div for it. So let's just say we have one div, 2 paragraphs, and then a button, I think. So the text of that button is actually learn more. So learn more, don't forget to close it out. And yeah, that's a very good one. And then we basically have to put in our image here. The image will have coming in. So this will actually take in the icon URL. And the auth is going to be something you define. So it's going to be the service icon. Right? So then the title will come in here, and the description will come right below it. Right, so now the action here is our button basically has like an action prop. So you can just specify that action prop, specify your action right there. So it's completely optional, it's not something required. So now this is our icon, and one thing we want to do here, I want to make sure that it's a flex, and it's flex column, and the gap between everything should be well aligned. Let's check the gap between here and here. 2.58 2.56, yeah, so 2.56. So 2.56 rem is our gap, so we basically have that kind of consistent gapping, which is okay. And so the learn more basically has its own width. So the width of this button is 10 rem as well, so you can copy that and go to classes and just put in your width there, which is perfect. So you can put in your width there, and yeah, so we need to worry about a couple of other things, like the actual the font size of this. So you can come in here, and it's like 2.2 rem, I think. So 2.25 rem. 125 rem. So the font is actually 700 in width. Okay, so we're good. We're good. Not sure if there's any other thing we need to specify for the title. So for the description, we just have to do text normal and the font weight should be normal. So text normal, so that's completely fine. Okay, so we have our service card all set. So what we want to do is, one of the things we need to do, we need to add the shadow. These are box shadows, so you could just grab, everything here, basically, right? So most of the time, what you already have in your design is already like pre-built in your Tailwind. So what you should be doing is, you want to gauge what Tailwind basically has with what you have in the actual design. So you can come here and just do shadow media. Many a time that will just fix your issue. So we can't really visualize it yet. So let's have the service card imported in the actual section. So in this our actual section, we need to create an array of our data. So you can call it a service data. So it's going to be an actual array of objects that has some IDs, right? So it's going to have the same stuff, we talked about in the service card, the icon URL. So the icon URL is going to be the link to the actual icons. So you can do this images / So first off, what we have there is a design icon, I think. So design icon, I don't know, is it our activity icon? Good. So this was actually called the activity icon. Okay. Okay, so that's okay. And yeah, so let's get the other props, the title and then the description. So the title here is actually graphics design. And I'm just going to grab that and include it right here. And we have the description as well. Well, I think it was subtitle. Really? Let's grab it here. Description. Description here is actually, this is definitely a column, not a semicolon. So you can copy that and put it within a quote. It's completely fine. So description, then you can decide to specify your action, right? So action needs to be some sort of function that does things, right? So if we don't really have action, we can let it go. So you can let it go. So you could come here and let's create a duplicate. It's going to be 1. And this is actually the video icon, I think. So video icon, let's be sure. Okay, so this is one. The title is different. It's called video editing. So you're gonna copy this and paste it right there. And then let's grab the last part. So we can do ID2. And this is not video icon, but actually digital marketing. So let's grab this. And we'll just paste it right in here. And yeah, so we need the exact icon for that case. Okay. Marketing is like chart, so it's like chart icon. So we'll be using this chart icon. Okay, so that's pretty much the same. So now we can play with this service data to display our actual service code. So you can come in here, right? So we want to look through those content. And so we'll just say service. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually call the service card here. So the first things first, we're passing our key. So this key is a way to uniquely identify each item in a for loop block. So it's extremely important you specify it, and it needs to be some sort of unique identifier. So we have the key. Other things we have the title. So we have the service, the title, we have the description. Sorry about that. Service the description and icon URL. So we have this service dot icon URL. So this just gives us a much more proper view. Let's see what we have. Good, it's coming out well as expected. So we have little modifications to make, and we'll be back in a moment. Okay, and welcome back. So I took a break. I just needed to do other things. So basically, we're back, and what we're going to be doing here is to basically make sure that the cards, it basically has the same pattern as what we have here. So you can see that everything seems to be aligned to the left, which is a little bit weird. So let's fix that real quick. So go to the service card, and okay, so we have items. Just have to put items in right there. I should do it. So go to position everything at the middle, and yeah, we're almost there. We need to add some padding. So padding top is 1.19. Padding bottom is 2 points. So it's like, well, we're just trying to gauge it. So the top is like 1.19, 1.91. Sorry, right? So let's quickly have that done, and we can just do top 1.91 rem. Okay, and yeah. So for the bottom, 2.81. Right, so you could just come here and say the bottom 2.81 rem. Right, so for the sides it's the same, so it's 2.56. Much more consistent. PX 2.56. Okay, so let's see how it looks now. Okay, looks more better. So the border radius is something that we did not talk about the last time, right? So we have to, it's really not the same. So the border radius here is 1.75. The border radius here is, there's no border radius here, I mean. Okay, I think it's not really existing. Yeah, the border radius is 0.6. Okay, so it's not something reusable, or it wasn't used in multiple places. So if you just grab this and add it to the rounded prop right here. So you could just do rounded. So if you paste it in, right? So it's going to have that kind of roundness. And then, yeah, that's good. So one other thing that I want to do is to make sure that it's actually spread across, right? So we can just do space around or justify between, but in this case it's more of a space around, for the card. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the outer section. This is the div that contains the entire thing. So you do flex, flex is flex row, so it's going to be a flex column on small devices. Why medium devices upwards is going to going to be in the row form, and yeah, that's okay. And we need to be able to put a gap. Well, let's do gap 5, and let's do space around. Justify around. Okay, so that's going to justify it around. And one thing that seems to be missing is the proper spacing, right? So when you override, we have let me zoom this in. We have 3.56 rem as gap. So we need to put that into consideration. So 3.56 rem as the actual gap. And yeah, there we go. Let's say that we already have our cards, and depending on the screen size or whatever, everything is relatively responsive with a shadow by the side and other stuff. So one other thing I would love to mention is the spacing, from here to the top, right? So let's check that out on the actual design. So here downwards is like 6.75 rem, right? 6.75 rem. So go to the service section. You can just do margin top 6.75 rem. so we can just close all of this, no needed. So yeah, so basically have that flow. Let's see how it looks on mobile. It's too much on the mobile, so we can actually reduce that. So we can assume that this is like a medium, right? So on a small screen, we could just do MT8, right? So that's probably decent. Yeah, this is way better. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, not looking bad at all. You're doing good work. All right, so basically have all of this, and the only thing, okay, not only thing. So we're good with that section. The shadow at the bottom seems to be much more intense, compared to the shadow at the other part. So what you're going to do, you can just, if you don't feel like comfortable using Tailwind shadow, you can copy all the shadows here that you already have. And what you want to do is to go to your global.css, right? So give it a name. So we're going to just give this service card shadow. So we're going to paste that box shadow in there. Seems to be quite a lot. So this will give us the exact effect as what we already have. So we'll go back to the service card. We'll remove the shadow medium. We'll just replace it with what we just created. Okay, you can see that our shadow is coming out much more intense, much more better, than the way it was before. So this makes sense. This is the actual shadow from the design. Oh, sorry about that. Oops. All right, so you can say this is the actual shadow we're getting from here. So this is the way you work with shadows basically. So if what you get from Tailwind doesn't really make much sense, so you just want to export the manual shadows. Okay, so let's go. What else do we have? We have this little section here. What do we call this? I think this is actually called the explore section, right? Not sure if I added it to the actual page, but let's see. Or video player section. Okay, it's called the video player section, and so it's pretty much straightforward. So what we're going to do is to have two designated divs, one for the left pane and the other for the right, and we're going to put in all the elements right within it. So we're going to do this section, and yeah, there we go. And we have to specify our divs for denoting the left and the right pane. So in the left pane, we basically have a paragraph, and we can just copy this and paste it right there, and the actual text, and we'll paste it right there. So basically I have those two texts, and they've all been pasted in. And the other thing missing is the button. So we can just grab a silly button from the service card. So we can just grab it from here and we take it in video player. Okay, so I can close the rest, close this, and just pin this. Okay, so we can place the button there. Right, so don't forget to import. So it's actually imported. And yeah, so the text there is like explore. So we don't have any action, right? So the width of this button here is 8.2 rem. So you're going to grab it from there, and you want to paste it in the width field. And then the roundedness, that's above the radius, is quite thin. So it's like 6. It's very large border radius for some weird reason. So we have rounded. So you paste it in as is ren. And then the text is basically, so the background is like white. It has some borders, right? So we have to mimic this exact button. So one thing I normally advise is spend time, in building out components. These atomic elements are actually what gives your final design that great look. So if they're not done properly, you might not really have a good outcome. So you have to basically spend time. You don't have to rush it, right? That's what I see most new dev basically do. They just try to rush all these components at once. No, you basically have to take your time and make sure that everything is, in proper order, basically. All right, so let's go over this. And yeah, we already know we have some colors there, and copy that. That would be our border color, right? So I could come here and say border, yeah, so paste any color, so copy it again, Let's say color. So the BG now, from what I can see, is actually white. Right, so BG is white. But even when you override, it's going to be white as well. So there's no shadow. There's no shadow, so you could just set shadow none. So shadow none. That removes the shadow. And one other thing we want to do is to make sure that this border is is proper the way we want it. And the only way we can achieve that is to say, okay, border 2 pixel. So even if it's not, we can still add more to it, right? So the explore, which is what we want, is of this color. So you just copy it. So we already have this color, but I'll just look for it. Okay, light blue. So we have text. So text light blue. So that will be our text. And it's going to be in bold, I think. Yeah, so we want to do font bold. Okay, so maybe font size 1 rem. I actually see that you're using a separate font. Probably that's why we have different, kind of outcome. They're using DM Sans, it doesn't really make sense, but it's completely fine. So we just have to make sure that our border is coming right up, right? So the border is what we're trying to do, and this is it. Yeah, so this color X. So this is border, and yeah, I think the border is already cool. Let's do 9 rem. Oh, okay. So the border is there. I'm not just saying it, so it's completely fine. So the height of this button is 3 point. Not sure if this is the same thing we've done before, but let's see. Okay, not at all. So go in here, put the height there. So come here, and specify the height. So yeah, this is the height of the button. So if it's not coming up, you can just make it, increase the specificity. But for some weird reason, it still does not come up. Height is this. Okay. Yeah, that could be because we have too much. Yeah, let's reduce the border. See. Okay, 3, 4, I think. Okay, something like that. So I think this button is becoming, more of what I wanted. So it's more like that. I'm not sure about the eyes yet. Oh, it looks more small when you're looking, when you zoomed out. Okay, that makes sense. Let's make sure that when you hover, we don't get to see the primary color. So you could just do over BG white. When you override, yeah, so you're gonna have that white color, so it doesn't have to be an issue, right? So that's okay. And yeah, so let's get our image in. So that's completely decent. Okay, so what you want to do here, so come in here and the image source, put the out, video player image. I'll just video player, it's fine. So what we want to do here is like slash images slash. What do we have? We have the video player. We actually named it the video player. So you can come here and say video underscore player.png. Right, that should give us the actual image, I think. Yeah. And then so let's type the title, and then the text should be good to go. So I think this actually is the light blue or the dark blue. Not sure. Yeah, the light blue. Okay, so do text. So text light blue. So the same thing, yeah. So basically I have to give it some headings, right? It seems much more pronounced than the rest. Font bold. text to Excel like that. So let's try that out. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Pretty much decent. Yeah. So then this one has this grayish color, right? So I think I already have this in the terminal config. Just going to fetch it. Remember what we converted to custom light gray. That's it. Converted it once to from RGB to a normal X. Okay, so we want to paste this right in here. Okay, not like that. Sorry, you don't need the square brackets. Okay, so let's go and good. Basically, that's coming up well. Right, so let's put the spacing now. Spacing in here is like 1 rem, and so we can just eyeball this. Doesn't really matter. So you can say margin bottom 4. Right, so and then what we want to do is I can as well just make sure that we have empty 4 MB8 or 16. Let's try that out. Okay, so 8 should be fine. Okay, so that's okay. So now we want to increase this font by a little bit. I think it's a different font, but we can just bump it up a bit. So let's do that. Come here and just do text 1 rem. Let's try that out. Okay, maybe 1.2. Okay, so similarly, that's completely fine. Looks great already. And then yeah, let's align it, and we should be able to call it a day, right? So come in here. Here's a section, right? Yeah, so we can outline it here and say flex, justify between item center, right? So give it some gaps if you want. Got it. So meanwhile, this is for medium. So you want to just do MD flex row, flex column. So small screens should be able to, experience proper stuffs. So come in here, and we want to make sure that it's far away from the top. So distance between here and here is like 11.31. So you can say top 11.31 rem. Okay, so that is very decent. So let's check the smaller view of it. Okay, good job. So it's coming up well as expected. You can see we basically have it on a small device. So on the large screen, this is what we have. So that just gives proper view of that section. Okay, so moving on, we can actually move on to the so normally you can actually set a width to your actual component, right? You can set a width for it like this. The width here is like 13.9 rem, so you can do that as well. So what you're going to do, I'm going to show you guys how you can do that real quick. So for medium devices, I say the medium width, the maximum width is actually this. Yeah, so it's this. Oh my god, I lost track of it. But the width, okay, so let's get the width again. So yeah, maximum width is that. And then here, you just want to make sure that you specify flex grow here. So this will actually go through, ignoring the width. So let's go. Yeah, so basically this is it, and we're going to make sure. Okay, so let's see if we're actually doing the full width. Let's place that in there. So with full, so we basically have a definitive width for this. Yeah, so that's actually what's preventing it from, properly, okay. Our image basically has like a width of the, the entire width of the image is basically like this. So there's no valid points you want to do this. So I can just undo that real quick. Right, and sorry, still need the margin top. Yeah, we should be good. Okay. All right. So yeah, so there we go. We have the testimonials. So let's play around with this as well. Right. So let's quickly fix this. So testimonials. So video section. Okay, so we have the testimonial. Yeah, so let's go to the service section. Yeah, something like that. So we just copy this and put it in the testimonial section. Okay, so we'll close everything out. Okay, so what we're going to do here, this is already testimonial, we know what to expect. They have different text, which is fascinating. So what we want to do is to make sure that we have something similar but still works. So which is going to be the review data. Our review data, right? So we have our ID, which is okay. We have our images. So instead of icon URL, we can just have image URL. So this is Ryan. So let's go Ryan PNG. So what I want to do is I want to give it the actual review, then the name of the reviewer. So I come here and say, so reviewer name, Ryan Cora. What a name. So I can copy this, copy that, in the paste it right in there, and the review is going to be, so I'm going to copy everything here and have it pasted right here. So this is Ryan review, right? So I come in here, create a different reviewer, so one, and this is actually Kaylee. So I could just do Kaylee.png, and let's make sure that they're always in PNG, right? So I'll check that out in a bit. So this is Kaylee's review. So copy from here to the end and paste our review in, and a name, of course, Kaylee frame. So we can just paste a name right here. Okay, so let's move on to the third reviewer. Yeah, so Jean, yeah. So basically, we can do that. It's very straightforward. Come here, paste our review in here. And so say the image is Jean, and then this Jean Whitefield. Okay, Jean Whitefield. So you can paste it in here. Okay, so you can copy this and paste it. Don't forget to update the ID. Update the ID to 2, and this one has to be 3. So we'll copy all the review, and in the review part, so we'll copy the entire review and replace it. So what's this guy's name? Alan Kim. Yeah, so I can paste it in here. So I think I spelled it as Alan, right? So this is okay, quite alright. This will be our review herb data. So now what we want to create real quick is we want to create the actual testimonial card. So go to your card section and create a new file, and we can call this the testimonial card.tsx. Right, so we have functionality component export, we have testimonial card. So what on earth are we expecting? A couple of things we're expecting, some places in our iProps. So we have the interface. So this is what we're expecting. We're expecting the image URL. We're expecting the review. and then we're expecting the reviewer name. Okay, so we're expecting all of this now, and yeah, okay. So basically, I have this card. So let's get started. So we have a div that contains the image. We have another div that contains 2 paragraphs. So 2 paragraphs is basically going to be the review, and the other paragraph has to be the actual reviewer name. So what we're going to do here is to make sure that we are destructuring what's needed from the iProps. So you're going to pass in the iProps there and pass in the image URL, pass in the actual review, and lastly pass in the reviewer name. Right, so here we have to specify the actual image, right? So image source, image URL, right? So the auth has to be the reviewer avatar, reviewer profile picture. So you can close that up. And then, yeah, we're going to do some styling here as well. So the width and height of the image is almost, very the same, right? So you can come in here and we can just tie it right up. So the width can be this, and the height too can be that. There seems to be some sort of body radius, so you can just grab this as well. Yeah, open it up, and I want to specify that this should be in a rounded field. So that's the rounded. So this is going to have a chord for us. So now we need to be able to add it as a flex, right? So the gap we want to specify has to be the gap between this and this, which is like 1.88 rem. If I'm not mistaken, 1.88 rem. So we can easily do that into 1.88 rem as our gap, and yeah, that's completely fine. We can do flex column medium flex row. I just think this is way better. Yeah, I think this is way better. It's completely fine. We just see the output. If we don't like it, we can take it back. Okay, so yeah, let's play around with this. Right, so this actually have a, I think, light dark blue. Not sure. Oh yeah, dark blue. So that's the actual review. Text dark blue, and yeah, let's give it some. Looks bold. So font. Yeah, font bold. Let's spell that correctly. Font bold. So the reviewer name is, yeah. So this is the reviewer name. So this is not the actual color. You're misleading me. This is definitely not the actual color for this. Right? Oh, it's actually the actual color, but they just added some opacity. So let's see what we have. Is it the same as what we used before? Most likely. So we'll copy everything here. We'll paste it in here. We'll just reduce the opacity, by some percentage. So opacity, one specifying our opacity is actually 0.3. You come in here and let's do 0.3 or 30%. So you can come in here, let's see. We've not really added our card. So the gap between here and here is like 0.81. So what we can do quickly is to, put this as a flex column. You need to specify the other as the gap, right? So the gap was actually 0.81. So you can say 0.81, right? Well, that is good. That is very good. So go to the testimonial card and we should be able to populate all of this. We can undo this. App review data, testimonial card. We have it imported. We have our key. This is not service. We can just say review. So review dot, this is not title. We just do the image URL. Image URL, review, reviewer name, review on it. So let's check that out. Okay, so yeah, it seems it's actually coming up as expected. We just need to make some few adjustments with the images. They're not coming up well. Okay, so these images, let's see. There's more of a typo somewhere. So we can just remove that. And let's see. Images URL, what do we have? Alan.jpg. So it's likely that they are all JPG. So I could just change all to JPG. Okay, so the width and the height. So the width here is 4 point. Okay, not bad at all. Okay, 4 point. So let's make sure that the width is coming out as expected. Go to testimonial card. So yeah, so basically this is the width and the height. And yeah, not bad at all. So you can grab that and let's put it in the actual div. Okay, so is it we did the right thing before, but yeah, for some weird reason, not sure why that worked. So without specifying the actual width. Oh, this will be too much. So we have to modify. Okay, so we need to undo that and say the width. Okay, so this is the actual width. Okay, so on small screen is really okay. Yeah, so yeah, we actually have a div that covers it. Is a good thing, and it's been squashed by this, I think. Yeah, and that's not supposed to be so because we already have a div that covers it. Okay, so moving that div just makes it work, I think. Okay, so that's okay. So once you now worry about displaying it as a grid, so this is what we'll be doing. We'll be using grid in this case. Go to video player section, not video player. I mean testimonial section. So here we won't be using flex, right? We'll not be using flex here. You can as well just remove everything we know. Maybe leave the margin top. So here, what we're going to be doing, ideally, is we're going to be using grid. So you can come here with grid, columns 2 on medium devices. This actually is telling grid to just have like two items per each row, right? So why for smaller devices we can just have one item, it doesn't have to be two. So you can come in here and just specify one. For small devices it's going to be one. So we need to specify our gap. So you can do that 8. Let's check it out. Okay, so that's coming out properly. Come here and then you see that it is actually coming out as needed, right? So this is good. It's a very good one. So, and it's extremely very responsive. So when you enlarge your browser, so it's going to take up that responsive flow and everything will sync very fine. All right, so we can do this and yeah, there we go. There we basically go, right? So this is okay for the testimonial section, right? And yeah, our gap between it can actually be, we can modify it to include more gap in the column axis. So let's do that. So not sure if they have column gap. Columns. Okay, let's try that out. Not sure what I'll do, but something we can play around with. Okay, not really a thing, but it's completely fine. If you want an MX top, you can really specify that, and and that will be fine as well. So you could just do 18 or you can do 16 to give it much more breathing space. Yeah, so yeah, this is okay. This is fine. For the sake of smaller screens, we still have everything in motion, right? So yeah, one of the weird thing I discovered about this card, I think, is is in here. So yeah, we could have actually used grid as well, right? So I think from medium, it should be one a medium screen. It doesn't have to be too much. So we can go to service section, right? So we can do large. You can put large there. Okay, so this is already a live screen. That's scary. Okay. So at any point in time, it will never like break, right? So it's either you do it this way, or you can undo this. Go to your service card and give a maximum width to it. So you can undo max width, maybe 200 pixel. Right. Or minimum, yes. I think that they do not minimum, but minimum width can actually be 200 pixel. So you can't go below 200. So you can see that it's not really going below 200 at this case because this is 200 pixel. So let's get the actual width of the cards. So we could use that to simulate it. So this is 22 pixel. So you could just come here and paste this right there. Okay, so we have this. So you can see what we have now is that we have the minimum card, to have that. And probably we could just add flex wrap. Yeah, flex wrap should basically wrap it to the next screen, but we're not seeing that, right? So, okay, so this is fine. For weird reason, it's not wrapping to the next screen, so we can remove that. Let's go back to the service section. Right. So this is like 3. Yeah. So you could use grid here easily. Right. So you could just use grid. Say okay. Let's do grid columns. 1 for small devices. For medium devices, it can be 2 columns. Right. So while for large devices, it can be 3. Okay, so let me make sure that we're spelling grid correctly. Right, so 2. Okay, so this still, fancies us back to the thing we've already set here. Right, so the minimum width can be that. And yeah. You can actually say, oh, the minimum width is 22 rem. Oh, this will cause some sort of weird overlap, by the way. So you can take it completely off. This is always problematic. And there we go. We basically have a much more proper view of how the card should be. Right, so I think you should be able to grow through it. Right, so ideally they should be having, flex grow. Okay, so first of all, we need to make sure that it's really under here, right? So we could just do, flex grow. So flex grow should make it grow through the entire width. Good. So way better. So it grows through the width, and you can say medium devices. It's basically has 3, 3 columns, right? So small basically have 1. So large screen, it has it like this. So that makes perfect sense. Okay, so one thing I want to add here on the service section that is not completely there yet is the spacing between here and here is 9.13 rem. Right, 9.13 rem. All right. Okay, so we want to do a service card, but service section. Let's close up what we have there. So let's do 9 rem. Okay, so this is supposed to be the service section, the service code. Oh, no, no, I meant the testimonial section. Sorry about that. Testimonial section, you can just, yeah, you can do that. Okay, so now testimonial section basically has testimonials as the title, and then it has this as the description, subtitle. Okay, so we basically have this good looking component, testimonials, what clients say about us, right? And yeah, so it's well stretched, and that's a good one. And then let's go to our team section, right? So our team section is very similar with what we've done before. We just have to, you know, worry about some of the things we might be needing. All right, so we're back. So basically, what we're going to do here is to basically work on a couple of things, right? So we already have our header, and then we just have to create the cards, and then we should be good to go, right? So testimonial card. So I want to do one last test. Okay, yeah, exactly as expected. Okay, so there's some issue here that I didn't notice earlier. It has the issue with the actual text. This text. I was supposed to have it, way down. So let's go to the error section and empty it, right? Okay. Okay, so this is the error section. Let's go to page. Okay, so let's do large, commit this, and then medium. Medium can be 32. Okay. Alright, so that's the same as well. So just want to make sure that we don't have issues with with it basically. So come here, we scroll the way down and everything's still in the right order. Good. Okay, so group here. And let's create our team section. Okay, so team section. So what we want to do is to grab the testimonials part. You just copy everything. Right, so close up what we already have. Close up this section. Go to the new section, paste it in, and let's just rename this to the team section. Right, so this is completely fine. I'll just comment this out first. Right, so let's worry about the things we'll be needing. This is our team, meet the team. Right, so you can copy that. So our team, yeah, miss the theme, so I could just make this a small letter. Right, so yeah, so let's have this card. Let's have this card ready. There's no shadow, just like some sorts of borders here and there. All right, so we move on. Let's create a card. So before we create the card, let's first of all add the things we'll be needing. So here we just need the image URL, we need the ID, and then we need the profession, I think. So image URL and the profession. So it doesn't really take much, so it's completely fine. So image URL, the name, and the profession. So you can remove all of this. You can remove all of this long string. Vanessa. So this is our name. So this is our profession, UI designer. So the image URL is actually Vanessa. So you can see it right here. is Vanessa. So you call that, and let's go. Not sure how it's spelled, but let's just take it. FVA. Okay, so Vanessa, double S of course, right? So this is actually the team data. So I'll rename that real quick. So the team data, and this is a name, this is a profession. So let's add more of the other team members. So come in here and ID can be 1, right? So his name is actually missing Campbell, right? So come here and just change that and change this to missing. So UI designer, same profession, and then the last guy, the last lady is Irie Evans. So we can just copy this. Irie Evans, and then we have the client manager as the profession. So Irie Evans and then the client manager. So I need the exact name, Irie, so it's okay. Come here and just do Irie. Okay, so that is completely fine. We just have to make sure the card is in order. So we basically have to come here and just create the multi-card, the team card. So we can just come here, create the team card. So team card. Yeah, so basically this is it. And we know what we're actually expecting. And specify that in your interface. Right, so need the image URL. What is the string? We need the name, I think. I'm not sure the way we're using it, but let's take a look. On the service card, we are in here, so you can just pin this. So the name and then the profession is completely fine. Name, string, profession, string. All right, so we can basically structure it and then pass the actual types in. The actual type. So come in here, the image URL. I can just spell it out. Name, profession. So this is what we'll be playing around with, and this is quite alright. But we can just create an actual image for it, and we should be good to go. So we have the div. Let's create another div. We can put our image right within here. Same photo. So you can come here and then create the auth. Okay, same member. Same member photo. So you want to close that out and make sure you're actually passing in the actual source, the image source, which is the image URL. So you pass it in there, right? And the other thing you want to worry about is the names, I think. Yeah, so the name. So you could just come in here and just put in the name. And lastly, we have the profession. So this is very similar, when we're looking at it with what we already have here in terms of the styling, so it's completely fine. So come here and just do profession. So what we're going to do real quick, we're going to grab the actual title, the styling from the other section, in the service section, to the service card. Yeah, so the styling actually with reduced opacity. Let's make sure I'm in the right place. Testimonial card. Yeah, you can just grab this real quick. Go to the team card and paste it right in here. So the name on the other end has to be like the actual title. So we can make this way bigger. Yeah, can make that way bigger. Okay, so this is basically it. We can just put some margins here and there. Doesn't really matter, right? So let's say my8. So yeah, gives us a proper margins. So if we do, so the width of this particular element is 7 rem, so similar, so it makes sense. So that's okay. We'll do the same thing for the height and copy that person there to the height. And since this is completely circular, so you can just do rounded full. So rounded full. This should gives us a much more better stuff. So this is completely fine for now. So we still need some stream media icons here and there. Okay, alright, so let's do that. So these icons comes, after the bottom of the card, from what I can see here, right? So I think we should just put it way below the card. That's one way we can achieve this kind of functionality, and it's easier that way. So yeah, so we can come in here, call it div. So paste this in, and yeah, put another div. So this div basically has to account for all of this, I think. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a lot of our images there, right? So image, so we just call this social icon. Yeah, social icon. So what we're going to do is we already know, it's just for us to import it, I think. So you can remove the curly braces, /images, what do we have? X icon. We have the X, we have the Facebook, and then we have Dribble. Okay, so X icon.png. So that's the first. So width and height doesn't really have much, you can just take that off. So let's create another one. But this is for Facebook this time. So Facebook icon. Facebook icon. And I think lastly we have the Dribble icon. Dribble icon. So that's okay. We have the X icon, Facebook, and Dribble icon. So in between, we have to specify our separator, right? So this separator, we can easily get it with using Shadcn separator or divider, right? So first off, let's just see how it looks like before we continue the design. So you can pay that, close all the tabs, and this SIM card, you can take it right in here. So we uncomment this. Right, so we make sure we import it. So there's a theme. So we have the image URL, we have the name, I think. Theme.name and profession. So theme.profession. So we can actually remove the testimonial cards, don't use it anymore. And yeah, so when we have this, we just basically have to check out what we have so far. Okay, so this is it, not bad at all. So we basically have the Vanessa, the name, right? So the name should be of this color. This is the dark blue we have, or just to be sure. The light blue, interesting. So I got the same card, and yeah, the name has to be, there's dark blue. It's already dark blue. Oh, light blue. Okay, so light blue. And are you sure? It isn't coming up well, though. So light blue is the name. Opacity? No, not opacity. That could be what's making it so small. So we can just make it a little bit bigger, nothing much. That's 1.2 rand. Yeah, so I think a little bit bold. Yeah, font bold. Okay. All right, so that's almost decent right here. And we have to reduce the my. My can be 6. Okay. Okay, so basically, we need to focus on the other area, and these other areas has to do with the actual, card borders and other stuff. So this is going to be the card border. Come in here and yeah, we'll come here and do border with 4 pixel border. Specify the color. Okay, so is there any form of roundedness? Yeah, there is, but it's not really like specified, in here or anything. But we can just eyeball it and have that properly in place. So we can come here and just do rounded, and let me do one rep and see how that looks like. Okay, pretty decent, right? So this is okay, not bad at all. We just make sure that everything is, is moved to the center. So you can come in here, flex, column, justify center. So this should move everything to the center for us. Okay, so we have this. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Item center. You center out our items, and let's worry about the padding from the top. The top is like 3 remish, so we can just do py. Okay, so this is actually the first part. It's supposed to be here, not the other way around, right? Yeah, good. So py can actually be through rem, is okay. Okay, so we basically have that part in there. So we have the rounded. Fix that typo real quick. Okay, so it's still well rounded. And yeah, let's play around our actual icons, right? So I think this is rounded for the top and the bottom. Yes, so this is rounded top, not the bottom. So the bottom can still be square because we want to achieve very cool design with what we have on the bottom, right? So go back to what we have. Okay. All right. So since we already have this now, we just have to, follow up with what we have, right? So we have its own borders. We just have to specify these dividers, and then we should be good to go. All right. So let's see. Let's try this out first. Yeah, very similar, but I can just. So we'll have the class name, paste that in. So rounded. Let's try that out. So this is border, rounded. Yeah, so you did not specify the border width, which is very important. So we have to specify the border width because I didn't do that earlier. And yeah, so this one has to be like rounded bottom, not the top. Good. So this is it. We can just do if we don't want to specify some sort of border at the top, we could just do border top none, part of 0. Let's try that out. Yeah, so that was going to remove the border from the top. So basically have our square in place, which is a good thing. We just need to position these guys in the right way. So I will actually start by using the Shadcn, components for divider. So we can just search for divider real quick, or separator, right? So we can search for separator. So you can see some vertical separators here, which is a good thing. So you could just copy this. Let's install it. Don't think we've installed it here. Go to npm, come in here, this is your terminal. So I'll just make a duplicate of my my terminal and paste the code in there. So you can just paste it in there and hit enter. This is going to download the separator component, and then we'll use the vertical variation. Okay, so while it's actually downloading, we can as well just grab the components and put it within our code, put it right within there. And yeah, so we want to start using it. Rotation vertical is okay, so we can place this after this first icon and after the other icon. Okay, so it's downloaded now, which is a good thing. And there we go. So let's see how it's acting up. Okay, we can't really see the effect yet. So what I want to do is to give this some sort of like an height, I think. So let's say 8 rem. So this is something that I can modify later on, but this is just like we having a stretch for it. So yeah, so what I want to do is to make this a flex justify between, I think. So basically I have this, and yeah, so the icons are way too smaller, so we just have a way to make sure that they are actually at the center first, right? So this is not bad at all. One thing I want to do is to give it a width. It looks so extremely small, let's give it a width of I can give it a better width, give it a very good width. So you can come here, okay, something like this, I think. Come here and just do class with 5 rem. Still pixelated, let's do 2 rem. Okay, still very much pixelated, 1.5. So okay, 1.5 is not really bad. We just want to be careful so we won't have it completely pixelated. Okay, so that is okay. And one other thing we want to try to do or strive to do, so make sure the width is a little bit like fatter, right? How do we achieve that? We can as well just make sure that the color or whatever we're passing to here is of the same color as the border we're using. So we're actually using this border, so we'll be passing in the same color, right? So, and then I think the width so if it doesn't pop up, yeah, so the width is okay. Maybe reduce a little bit. Let's match the actual design. What's the width here? The width is 0.125 rem. Oh, not that. 0.125 rem. Okay, 0.125 rem. It's very tiny. So I think it's okay what I did before. Probably reduce it a bit by 4 pixel. Okay, so that's not bad. That's pretty decent. So we can as well just grab what we have here in our separator and paste it in the other part. Should do same for those. Think, yeah, so that's okay. And you can remove this. I I want to make sure that it's a little bit smaller, so I can just, you know, assume that it's 3. So 3 should be fine. Okay, so then we can still notice that our icons are not really doing proper job here, right? It's because they are all way to the left, right? So let's see if there's a way we can make that, better. So let's say justify around. Okay, so justify around basically position it at the, not the exact center, but in a very reasonable center position, right? So I think there's something we can go with. Yeah, looks perfect already. And yeah, so on a very large screen, we should be having 3 of them in one row. So this is something I'll go to the theme section and quickly modify it. So we have column 1, MD column 2, and large with columns 3. So you can basically have like 3 of them in one row. Okay, so one thing is the height. We have to reduce the height, is way too much. And the height between here is just, the height here is 3.68. So you can use this exact height without much worries. So you can go here and go to the theme card. And this separator should have, not the separator per se, this entire thing should have a very reasonable height of 3.68 rem. Okay, so you can actually see that since our height is reduced, it makes our stuff now looking way bigger than expected. So that will actually make us to remove what we've done earlier, which has to do with possibly passing in the width to it. We can just like comment out this first, and let's see how it is. Okay, very good. So you don't need to specify any width, so we won't encounter any form of pixelation whatsoever. We can remove that, and then yeah. So basically I have the theme card. So let's check the responsive powers of it. You can see that it's extremely very responsive. So we're using grid here, making it very, very great to use. So it is very, very responsive, and that is a very good one. So we can come here and make it way smaller. You can see that everything is still coming up as expected. So this is one way we're able to achieve this dynamic design, right? All right, so this is it. And yeah, I did notice that the spacing between here and here is way too much. Let's check the one we have, 3.31. Let's say the one we actually, gave them. Oh, it's 9 rem. No, not that one. I think this one. Okay, so 3.31 rem. Okay, so that's pretty decent. And the mobile. Okay, good. Meet the team. These are our team members. Good to meet you guys. Okay, so we're in the penultimate section, right? So this is the newsletter section. So let's quickly create this, and yeah, so let's go. We already have what we need. We just have to, copy the way we are normally, the way we've done earlier. So you go to the newsletter section, paste everything in there, change the name. So newsletter section, right? So you can remove all of this data. You don't need, but won't be, creating card in this one. Okay, so you can remove that. And this is our team, and this is subscribe our newsletter. So you can paste this in, remove this, and yes, it's going to be our team. So our team, so this one basically has a couple of other things that we need to worry about, and it's particularly straightforward. So we just have 2 divs, one on the left and the other on the right. So let's do it. So you don't need to specify grid or whatever. You can as well just remove all of this. It's not a requirement. So what we're going to do here is that we can have those 2 divs. So the first div should have to be an image actually. So it's definitely going to have a source / images / this is a newsletter large icon. large icon.png, I think. So the auth newsletter icon, or image. It's more of an image really. Envelope or large, yeah, large envelope image. That's completely fine. And then what else do we have? We need to worry about what we have on the right, right? So we just have a couple of paragraphs, right? So a couple of paragraphs here. So let's see, you can copy that. Okay, so we need the inputs. Not sure if we already have some inputs, but if it's something that we don't have, we can just create our own custom inputs. So let's check our common folder. Components, common. Okay, we don't really have an input yet, so but we can create one. So what we're going to do, we'll go to Shadcn, go to inputs, right? So this is a very good input. So you can come in here and just copy the npm part. Go in here and paste it right in there. So this is going to install the input component for us. Okay, so if it's done installing, we're going to move on to the next stage. So while we wait for it to install, we can just proceed with what is expected here, right? So we need a couple of things. That has to be the first paragraph, the input, and then the actual button. So there we go. We already have the input paragraph. We need to put the input there. Right, so this input is already installed. We can paste it in there, or we can just grab the default one from Shadcn. Right, so we can just grab this guy. So you can grab that and put it right here. And now we've already imported it, which is a good thing. Yeah, so we're almost done. We're done with Shadcn's issue. So then we need our last button. For this one, we need to make sure that it's taking the full width of the div. So basically we need to do our main button. So we have it imported and pass in your text prop. So let's give a value for it. So the value we see here is subscribe our newsletter. So we'll have it placed in there. And yeah, I think the size. Okay, so not really sure if size is the full width. The width, yeah, so the width is actually the full width. So the width can just be the full width or full, so full width, which is okay. Okay, not full underscore width, but full width. Alright, so that should give it a very good full width. And then this is the placeholder. So we can copy that and place it under the placeholder prop. Right, so let's see how it looks conditionally right now. Okay, so you can see that it's coming out well. But one thing we need to worry about is the I think the ugly border. We're still seeing some sort of ugly border. Then the border radius doesn't seem quite good. So we can actually modify this by specifying an height to this. Right, so you can just create a new class. So the height will pass in the actual height that we need. So this is going to make it way bigger, which is okay. And we have to round it. So border radius is like 3 points. This is a very large border radius. So we can actually do that and just put rounded. Okay, 3.06, right? Okay, so that's looking quite alright. Okay, your email here. And one thing I feel might be needed is the actual shadow. Right, so shadow large. Doesn't need to be the exact same one, but you just want to give it some sort of shadow. Right, come here, or you can just grab, if you need an exact shadow, you can grab what we have on the Figma and go over to your global size. So if you're using inline, in-page styling, that would have been nice as well. But for the sake of this tutorial, we can just put them in our global styles. So we can just, let me close this up. Go to not public, go to socks, app, globals. Let's call this newsletter, box shadow. Okay, so this newsletter box shadow, we can just grab it, and then we can go to the newsletter section and paste it right here. So that will give it the exact same shadow as required exactly. And yeah, so we just have to make sure that the button is taking the actual primary color. So what we want to do is to go into the input Shadcn component. Not here, sorry. Go into your UI folder. The UI folder is under the library, not the library, the component. Then there's a UI folder. Then you see your input. So here we want to make sure that the ring is of a proper color. So this is the ring offset, right? So we need to make sure that the ring is in the proper setting. So we'll just do ring. So ring offset white. Okay, so ring slits. All right. So I think originally we can still do some sorts of stuff, but I just want us to do it through here first before we worry about that. So dark mode is going to be like that. Dark mode is going to be like that. Okay. So let me try ring. So link offsets, yeah, instead of white, still primary. Alright, so let's try that out. Okay, we still have some darkish stuff going around it. Right, so let's see. Oh, the border. The border is not really like expected. So I'm going to undo that. Let me go to the border. Let's do border primary. Okay, so we still have some issues with it for some weird reasons. Okay, so let me quickly check why this is happening. Okay, focus visible ring 2, focus visible ring primary. So we can just take that off. Let's see what we have. So not sure about the border. I'll take that off as well. Okay, so we can actually leave the border. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to undo all of them. And I already know where the problem is. It's actually is from the focus visible. So instead of ring 2, you could just make it ring primary. The same thing here, I think. Right, so okay, so which one are we having? So they are both the same, so you can as well just take one off. Okay, so it's not coming out well. Not sure what's going on there. Let's refresh it. Okay, so I think in our previous lesson we did something very similar. So what I'm going to do real quick is to open up that lesson so we can go through it as required. So go to the repository. Okay, so in the travel agency landing page we did something very very similar, and that's because when you check the source folder, right, go to your components, I think, go to the UI and go to the inputs. Yes, we did something very similar somewhere around. So let me just grab it. and put it right here so won't have issues too much. Oh, exactly. So that's exactly what is expected. So if I get it right, whatever we're using, primary. Oh, focus visible ring primary. Exactly. You can still leave it at ring 2 for just to get the box shadow, I think. Oh yeah, yeah. That's why it didn't work. So that makes perfect sense. All right. So this is it. We basically have our input now. We can reduce the length later on, but this is completely fine for now. Let's align what we have so far. So we have flex, right? So let's go into align things for us. And then let me make sure that it's actually item center. This is going to align it vertically for us. And one of the things we might need is the gap in between. The gap between here and here is like 1.44 rem. Right? So we could just do 1.44 rem. Right? So the gap between here and here is like 3.19 rem. So that's very straightforward. So you can come in here and just maybe wrap this sort of div. So 3.12 rem, I think. So I'm going to grab this. Okay, so this makes perfect sense. So our shadow is coming up as expected, right? So we can actually reduce the width of the height, I mean. It seems to be way too much. So we can actually reduce the height to maybe 3.8. Okay, something around that. So that's pretty decent. Okay, so let's see. We already have this newsletter section. One thing we want to make sure of is if it's responsive, right? So yeah, so what we're going to do is to make sure we do the flex, right? So flex column for small device, and then the flex row. So this should stack it originally on a very small screen, and I will make this image a little bit smaller on small screens, right? So MD with full, but small screen could just do with 5 rem. Okay, so 5 rem is too small. Let's do 10 rem. Okay, so this is pretty decent for a very small screen. We can leave it like that. And yeah, this is our image. So this is when it's lighted, right? So for a large screen, this is the way it should be. So what we're going to do is to basically, I think this is a very bold font, I think. They're using Roboto, okay? So it's completely decent. So we could just do text normal, right? So text normal is going to do that. Is it bold? A little bold, I think. So we do font semi-bold. Okay, so that's okay for us. A little bold, right? So we basically have that, and then our team, subscribe to our newsletter. So this is like not should be our team, should be just be obviously newsletter or our newsletter, I think. Our newsletter. So that's a typo in design. We'll just fix it real quick. Our newsletter. Subscribe to our newsletter. And then yeah, this is one cool way we can achieve it. And lastly, let's quickly design what we have on the footer. It's pretty straightforward. You can just do it real quick. Okay, so we can come in here, close off all the things we do not need. So we're going to close them all off. And close this. So we're in the footer section. Well, before we actually start this, I want to actually use this medium to appreciate you guys, for subscribing, for sticking around. It's been quite of a journey, right? But I've been actually loving the feedback I get every now and then, and thank you guys. All right, so the basically we have the footer section. So we want to make sure that we're able to, map it to this particular what we have in the actual design. So we have a couple of things, right? It's just divs. So we could just call this a section since it's actually coming in our section originally. So we could just create our divs. So now you can see that we already have a couple of 3 divs. Let's just keep it as that. This can be an actual separator. All right, so this is the actual separator, and yeah, so basically I have 3 divs, and yeah, should be good to go. So we'll grab this text and put it right here. So this is the first div. The first div basically has a couple of things, right? So we need the actual logo. It should be on its own div. So you come here and just call this the footer logo. And once you want to do /images/ then the actual name we called it. So go to public images, and I think you should be able to see the footer logo right there. So you can go in there and just do footer logo PNG, right? So we basically have another thing. This is just a text. You can copy it and yeah, paste it right here and paste it right there. And lastly, we have a div that contains some paragraphs. So you can just use on that list. It doesn't really matter. So we have the portfolio. We have how it works. We have the pricing. And we have the about. And I think finally we have the login. So this will all be links. Later on you can use the Next.js link component to wrap through each of them, and that will be pretty impressive. So when we're done, we just want to make sure that everything here, starting from here, I think, going to have the actual color. So this is the class name. You overwrite. Let's say this is the color we have. This should be in our start guide already. Light blue. So I call this text light blue. Right, so text normal. Yeah, text one, right? So that should do it for us. So use effect only works in client component. Okay, not sure. Oh, probably sometimes I think the separator requires some sort of this kind of thing. I run into this error some other time, right? So let's make sure that we are. Oh, this is not it. This is not the one we are actually importing. It's from the wrong route. We need the one from the UI. From the UI itself. So refresh that. Okay, let's scroll down, and there we go. Our image is not coming up. That is strange. So let's see why it is not coming up. So this is actually footer underscore logo. The PNG images. So that's supposed to work. That seems quite alright. Okay, yeah, it's actually coming through. It's there already. So I think the weird part I'm saying is obviously all this part, I think. Right, so this is section. So we could just do class flex colon. Yeah, so there should be a very consistent gapping between both of them. Let's do 1.9 rem gap to specify the 1.9 rem gap. Okay, so that's okay. So the exit lap arrived. Oh, okay, I see. The copyright he copied was not copied correctly, I think. So that was breaking it, I think. It still looks broken. Not sure why we are experiencing that. So this is a flex, as one thing for sure. That should put everything horizontal. And so let's make sure that it is a full width kind of thing. Okay. So I'm not sure why I'm actually seeing, I'll just comment this out. Let's debug it all together. Yeah, I can see. So the copy, whatever, then 2020. Whenever we do the 2020, it just goes crazy. Yeah, can we make this a div so it wouldn't be less problematic? All right, so let's make this a div quickly. Yeah, not sure. Okay. Okay, so let's take this off. We'll need to investigate why that is happening. Let's take it off now. Yeah, so let's see how we are able to stretch this to the very end. So the width is full, right? And yeah, so what I want to do is to make sure we can just like justify between what we have, and we'll flex gap 4, right? And let's see. We'll make the font a little bit bigger. Okay, so this flex column, I think. Separator. Okay, yeah, justify between. So now we want to make sure that this guy, we're able to retrieve this guy, I think. So let's go and do our 2020. So it seems the font doesn't really play well with numbers, I think. Right, so probably we use a different font family here. Font serif. Let's check that out. Yeah, I thought as much. The font doesn't play well with numbers, and that was very weird as hell. So yeah, so you can do that, and yeah, pass in the actual stuff. So I will just copy it again, and I can have it pasted right in here. Okay, so we could just do that, right? So because the font doesn't really allow us to pass an actual number, so that's completely fine. So that is it, and then the last one is in here, right? So we already have a custom gray text. We can pass in there. You can create a cast text custom gray, I think. Okay. Yeah, so there's some margin in bottom, from here to the bottom is like 2.56. So you can come in here and just do add in bottom 2.56 RAM. Okay, so that's almost very decent. And we need to put a proper spacing between here and what we have here. So it's like 10.44 RAM. Okay, so we just do margin top 10.44 RAM. Okay, so this is going to like push it down, and then yeah, there we go. We need to check how it is on mobile. It is very important. Yeah, so this is it. Just do flex column, medium, flex row. So this should be able to stack it up for us, right? And flex row. Let's do gap 8. Give it a proper gapping. Okay, this is how it's going to be on a very small screen, which is okay, right? So this is it, and of course we've actually built something really remarkable today. So we can actually go through it again to see what we've created. So we can actually see okay. So yeah. So with this, we've come to the end of this lesson, and yeah, thank you guys, and catch you on the next one.